I'm going to show you a customized smart quote configurator that is built for a sample roofing company to do a roof coating quote. Some of the items that were pre-entered into the system by the user were the products and services that they sell, along with the cost and pricing. Prospective company information, like the company name and address and contacts, and then what substrate types or materials that they're going to be coating, as well as the information descriptions for the quote. So if they have a metal roof, maybe the description would say what type of preparation they need to do on the roof, take care of the rust areas, and have special coatings on the roof. That information was entered in prior to creating a quote. Also, an opportunity has been created and pictures were uploaded associated with the quote that we're going to create. Pictures of the roof itself, maybe the layout of the roof, and then any terms and conditions that need to go on the quote. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and get started and go into our system and add a quote. I'm going to put in Big Brother here as the company that we're going to create the quote for. Then I'm going to use a contact, Dan Smith, and then an opportunity called Big Brother. I'm going to hit the next button. Here I've got two options. I can sell the material only, or I can do the material installed with the labor. So I'm going to leave the material and labor. This is the material to do the coating onto the roof. Then I can select silicone or acrylic, and then what the substrate is. Many different substrates here, and each one of these substrates would have different products associated with them. Obviously different products and different cost of those products and different labor to apply those products. So I'm going to select metal. That gives us several more options. One of the first options is the percentage of rust that currently is on the roof. I'm going to select 20%. And then what type of system? Either a standing seam or exposed fastener. I'm going to select exposed fastener. Go on to the next option. Here I can put in the total square footage of the roof. Let's put in 66,000 square feet. And I can select the warranty period, 10, 15, or 20 year. Let's select 20 year. Then I have the option to enter in the exclusions. What areas are not going to be covered with the coating? So I have many different options here. Let's say that there are 2 access hatches, and those hatches are 3 feet by 5 feet. Once I enter that, you see the linear feet, the total area, and I can add that. Then I can add as many other items as I'd like. Let's say that there are air conditioning units, and there are 6 of those, and they take up 4 feet by 5 feet. I'll add those, and then let's say we have some skylights. I'll put in 3 skylights at openings that are 6 feet by 5 feet. And add those, and I can continue adding as much information as I need. Let's say there's a valley gutter, and that gutter is 15 feet by 12 feet. Once I enter in all the options for the areas that are going to be excluded, I can go on to the next area, which are going to be the extras, items that are services that are provided by the company, but not necessarily owned by the company. So let's say that there's a one-time dumpster that's needed on the site. We would select the quantity, the duration, and the dumpster is $650, so I'll add that. Then we can say we need a chute. Let's say we need a chute, one chute for a week. Let's change that. Let's make sure that we cover our bases, and we're going to add 2 chutes to go into one dumpster. Then the next item is a lift. Let's do 1 week with a lift. And then we can select Porta-John. Let's say 1 week. Once we select all the extras that we need, we get into the actual products that are being calculated automatically based on our rules database that takes in consideration the substrates and what the prep items that need to be done in addition to the coating itself. It needs to have primer, it needs to have caulking, it needs to have uh, AccuWash and AccuShield. Those are all taken into consideration here. I could modify these here if I wanted to, but the system automatically calculates based on the total square footage minus the subtracted square footage up here at the top. So this is doing all the calculations behind the scenes automatically. If I hit next, what it shows me is the summary page. This summary page is showing all the surfaces that are not quoted or not covered. Here's the takeoff information at the top. It's acrylic, metal, 66,000 square feet, the date and the warranty period. The extras are located here in the middle section, and then all the materials that are going to be needed. Any freight that is needed as well is calculated automatically, and the labor to do all the work is going to take 32 days at $187.50 per hour for a 4-person team. So that ends up being $48,000. At this point in time, this is a summary. I can go ahead and hit create quote. What it does is it will auto-populate a quote based on all the information that we just talked about. It's got the company name up here, the project or opportunity name, the address for the company. In this case, it's going to be the corporate address. I can select shipping type, whether they're going to pick up at the warehouse, etc. And then I go down here. I can see the warranty information, the surfaces that it's covering. Here's the substrate detail. So this information pulled in from the database that talks about what is done or applied during the substrate process for the substrate during the coating process. Underneath that, I've got all the materials that are needed, and I can change these. I can change pricing. I can say, all right, well, you know what? I need 11 of these instead of quantity of 10. And I can see my margins change up here. So my gross margins on the materials goes up to 57.25. My gross margin overall is 53.46. I can scroll down here. I can see what my extras are and what my margins are. For the extras, not a lot of markup in the extras. And then I can see what the labor is. A 4-man crew for 256 hours, margins 50%. I can change pricing here if I'd like. Then after that, I can go in and add details, terms and conditions. I can say include terms and conditions, and that will populate the quote with the terms that we already have created in another area of our application, and the price summary. So here's the summary. If I want to add sales tax to it, I can add a percentage of sales tax and it will auto-populate depending on the address how much the sales tax is in that area. I'm going to go ahead and save this. And once I save it, I can quickly go take a look at it and view it by hitting print. Once I hit print, it's going to come up with a PDF form that populates automatically all the information. So the name of the roofing company that's quoting it, who it's going to be billed to, the acrylic metal, 66,000 square feet, 20-year warranty, the labor days it's going to take. Here are the quote details which are filled in from the substrate areas. So based on the metal roofing, all this information came in automatically. It's showing the surfaces not covered with all the linear feet and that square footage area, as well as the other items, the special extras that are necessary, as well as the materials that are needed, and then the labor, and then the total down at the bottom. And since I selected that add terms and conditions, it will automatically add any terms and conditions that we have in the terms and condition area. So that is a Smart Quote configurator. It actually also has pictures that are associated with the opportunity. So here's the building that is going to be applied towards, and maybe a roof picture at an angle and the layout. So this, once it's completed, can be sent via a hop sign signature, which is where the customer can review it and sign off on it. So hope this gives you a good idea of what a smart quote configurator can do for a roof coating company.